Hi folks, hope you're doing well. This is just a quick video. This is one that makes complete sense when you think about it. It can only really be applied from a Christian point of view, I suppose. So for worldly people, forget it. You won't understand it in any way, shape or form. We're going to be dealing with the issue of lust, but dealing with it in a most simplistic way possible. If God has somebody for you, if God designed someone for you and you for someone else, then that person is going to have a desire in them to pleasure you in a way that no one else ever could. Sexually and in every other way. Because they love you to the point where it's in them. It's deep inside in them. They love you. I wasn't talking about anything sexual there, but the feeling of them loving you is incredible. It's part of them. Same as it's part of you that loves them. So therefore, you're going to want to please them more than anyone else in the world. They're going to want to please you more than anyone else in the world would ever possibly want to please you. Anyone else. So looking at someone who has a most beautiful shell, right? So therefore, appearance-wise, is absolutely gorgeous. Looking at that person and thinking, God, I don't know, gosh, really fancy her. She's beautiful. She's good. I wouldn't mind a night of her. What I could do with her. Blah 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 blah. All those stupid thoughts that go through your head. Imagine for a second you were with that person. That person would have very little interest compared to the person who is made for you or pleasing you. So chances are, could you experience sexual pleasure anywhere near that level with this so-called gorgeous person than you could with the person that God has called for you, who is going to be beyond gorgeousness? Beyond, way beyond gorgeousness, because they're going to have it physically, emotionally, and mentally, and spiritually, that to you is going to be perfection. So what are you doing mucking around with something that isn't perfection? What are you doing? Act and live as if you're with that person right now. If you're single, act and live as if you're with that person right now. If you're married to someone and you haven't got that, then you need to really spend some time talking and working out why you haven't got that. It's possible that you're not the people that are supposed to be together. That he's not for you, you're not for him, blah, 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 or vice versa. In which case you may need to split up, or you may need to ask God to spiritually join you two in a way that would be perfection. Which God can do. If God has made somebody for you, then the outer shell is not really what's important in any way, shape, or form. And you're going to know that. You know that even within yourself already. You know the outer shell isn't that important. You have no doubt about that in any way, shape, or form. Anyone with even an ounce of wisdom knows that the outer shell isn't important. It really is about who the person is as a person. The personality, the spiritualness, the desire in them, the hunger for God, etc., etc. All these things are so much more important. That's the reality. There are things that are so much more important than the outer shell, the appearance. It's like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. But we can then judge a person as being a gorgeous human being because they're attractive looking and because they're a bit more attractive looking. So we assume there was a gorgeous human being, although that's got nothing to do with it whatsoever. Nothing at all. Not anyone who looks at the body as being the most important thing. You could pick a woman who's had plastic surgery, who's had everything redesigned by plastic surgery, and therefore, body-wise, looks absolutely phenomenal. But it's fake. It's not real in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, most women, well, a lot of women, not most, maybe just a lot, spend an awful lot of time putting on makeup. An awful lot of time putting on makeup. So you never get to see their real face. Not unless you are actually involved in a relationship with them. Because most people outside of that never get to see their real face. So you haven't got a clue what they look like because you don't get to see it. But we do look at people that are very attractive and we say, God, that person is gorgeous. Wow. But actually, come on. In the end, if you were in a relationship with that person, you would see that person for who they really were. And maybe, just maybe, they're not quite as gorgeous as they appear when you first see them. Yeah, we are all flawed, every single one of us. So you see somebody who looks gorgeous. That's not the whole of them. They're going to be flawed. So how are they flawed? Yeah, in a way, it's better to be with someone who's slightly flawed in the way of attractiveness than flawed either spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So physically, be slightly flawed. Yeah, rather than the other areas that are really going to matter so much more with regards to making a relationship work. Because the physical attractiveness has very, very little to do with making a relationship work. Yeah. There needs to be a certain amount of attractiveness, of course. But I watched something the other day that was actually really, really sweet. Really, really nice. There's a boy who had a man now, but as a boy, he was born with this disfigurement. And a lot of children have that, and they grow up to be adults, and they have that. So he's got this sort of droopy face. His eyes are quite droopy, his mouth is quite droopy. But that's a disfigurement. That's basically, that's the way he was born. But then he basically got over that and spent time getting to know people. And he married one of the better looking women in his areas. A very, very attractive blonde lady. Seemed lovely in her nature. And she looked beyond his flaws physically. She looked to who he was as a person. She's got himself a wonderful husband. He's got himself a lovely wife. I think they've got a kid, but their child, I believe, has part of his disability, but not completely. Or maybe that was another couple. There was a video on about them that they showed another couple. I'm not sure which couple had the child. But, yeah. He had this situation where physically he was flawed. And quite flawed, actually. But he managed to get a beautiful wife who really, physically, certainly wasn't flawed in any way, shape, or form. And of course, people will look at those two and think, what the heck is going on there? But that's how love works. She looked beyond his physical. Now he, I imagine, would have been looking at more than just her physical, because he would have understood that physical isn't the be-all and end-all. After seeing himself in the mirror over the years, he would have realised physical isn't the be-all and end-all. It's not the most important thing about a person. And he found her to be beautiful in those areas as well. So you can certainly say in that situation, maybe they found the people that God had for them. That he was made for her and her for him. Certainly seems to be a match made in heaven. For them both, really. When you learn to see things from a kingdom point of view, you do stop looking at things from a worldly point of view. Not necessarily overnight. It can take time. But you start to see things that you didn't see before. Bit by bit. Bit by bit. You don't get to no limitations overnight. From everything to no limitations. It takes time. You've got to get rid of the limitations, haven't you? Bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. Right? You certainly got to get the understanding of living with no limitations over time. It takes time to get that understanding. Completely different way of life. Aye. It is interesting, certainly. But imagine yourself for a second. Okay, you're single. Whatever age you are, it doesn't matter. You're single. You haven't necessarily been with the person that God made for you. You know, it's quite possible that person's there. You know, it's quite possible you'll meet that person at some point in time. So when that person asks you, how many people have you been with? Wouldn't it be better to say, well, certainly for the past 5-10 years? Year, 5-10 years, 10 years, whatever amount of years. From now to that point. It's been about you. I've been trying to live as if I was living with you. As if I was already married to you. So I've not looked at another person of your gender. I've not looked at anyone lustfully since that time, because I've been trying to live as if I'm living with you, as if I'm already married to you. That would be a beautiful thing to say. So think about what you'd want them to say to you. Wouldn't it be nice if they said the same, if they said that to you? If they said that to you, shouldn't you be saying that to them? Anyway, that'll do for now. That's all I have to say on that particular subject. That was all I was given, so I give that, and there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye. There you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.